Ask us about our kids choosing plural marriage. I really don't know. My mom and dad didn't choose it until they were in their 40s. We chose it when we were young. I really just am leaving my children to understand what I believe and to find what they do.
Above all else, no matter what, is to have a connection to God. And I think that'll take them to where they need to be. If it's in plural marriage, wonderful. If it's not, that's okay too.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. It is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Hope you're having a good day. I'm starting to feel better. I think you can hear it in my voice. And while I have not been feeling the best, I've been spending this time to research and dive deeper into the backstory that is the sister wives. Now, I've covered polygamy on this channel since 2019, and admittedly, when I started covering this show and this family, I didn't know a lot about the Browns, and frankly, it wasn't me that was interested in the show so much as like, wow, are we really going to legitimize polygamy through sister wives? And after all these years of covering them, I've had the opportunity to speak to all of these people that have given me more of a backstory about how the Browns got involved in the show and why this all happened. So last week, 2 weeks ago, I did an interview with Emily Lee, who is the daughter of Dave Watson, who is the actual prophet of the Apostolic United Brethren. The Browns were actually members of this group. They are now, Kody's like now an independent. I had her on the show, and then I've also talked to Kristen Decker. And one of the things that all of these people that I've talked to, and I've spoken to some advocates that actually help people leave polygamy, was all these different people started talking to me about this group called Principal Voices. And I've talked about it briefly on this channel, but I wanted to sort of dive into a little bit better understanding of like how the Browns actually got picked for sister wives and get back to the origins of some of their early interviews. And in this video, I'll kind of share with you how the Browns were selected, and then I'll tell you about how there was an interview with Oprah very early on. So when the Browns went public, it was a really big deal because this was going on at the same time that Warren Jeffs was on trial, and there was all of this stuff in the news about these children that had been removed from a ranch. There was these wives that were going on these different shows trying to claim like that the government stole their kids, and people were starting to feel sympathetic for the women that were involved in these groups, and the groups were doing a lot to try to propagate that this was just a massive misunderstanding and that everyone had it wrong. We know now that even though they were saying things on Larry King Live and to Oprah, didn't mean that what they were saying was true. We also know now that those girls and the kids, a lot of them that were at this ranch were away from their parents. They had been taken by Warren. They had been separated from their families. We also learned that Warren was convicted of doing really terrible things. But polygamists had a need to try to rehab their image and try to separate themselves from this group. Unfortunately, they all originate from the same group, so it's really hard for them to actually say we're different because they have the same origins. So anyways, there's also old interviews where they talk about their show, how they got into the show, and they actually admit that Robyn was added after they had the show. And then in another interview, Robyn admitted that she feels like a homewrecker. So Robyn actually admitting way back in the very early days that she wrecked the family. So we're going to dive back all the way back. So join me on this journey as Robyn admits to being the homewrecker, and we find out how the Browns got sister wives and why this has been 10 years, 13 years of propaganda. Now, for the most part, a lot of you do know that reality TV is fake. Some of you that come here every single day don't know that reality TV is fake. And no matter how many times I try to explain to you that what you're seeing on TV is not real and it's propaganda, and people can say a lot of things on reality TV, that doesn't mean it's true. People buy into it because they see it on TV and they think it's real. So if you're of the opinion that it's all fake and you're like me and you're a realist and you know that, just bear with me as I try to be mindful that there are people in the audience that maybe don't know that and they're still trying to grapple with this idea that, wait, they've been snowballed. Let's dive into today's topic. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you've not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click on the bell if you'd like to get notified of any time I go live or new content loads. And make sure to leave a comment if you have something to say, and share this video with your friends. You know, it's been a kind of rough few weeks, so I would love it if you're watching out there and you could help me just by clicking on that subscribe button. Some people have just been not happy with me, and I would just love to see y'all subscribe if you are here to support my channel and here to support the work I do. It's free. Okay, so let's talk. So way back in the waybacks, in 2008, Christine Brown was actually making waves, and she was actually part of all of these like town halls. And in 2008, Christine was actually at a town hall in St. George with the Apostolic United Brethren, and she was telling everyone that she and this group were prepared to sue the state of Utah. They were prepared to be arrested for going public. They were prepared to do whatever they needed to do to decriminalize decriminalize polygamy, and they were not scared. Okay, so unfortunately the video doesn't exist anymore because the Apostolic United Brethren used to put things online, and like they do when I report things, they delete things. It's always weird to me when a church claims that they are like just this normal church, then they delete things and they cover up evidence. Like, if you stand by what you're doing and you know that what you're doing is lawful, you shouldn't be deleting things, truthfully, especially if they're like town hall meetings. Anyways, so Christine was like widely involved in all of these things within the AUB, and a part of that was because her grandfather, Rulon Allred, was the founder of the group that she was part of, which was the Apostolic United Brethren, or they're known as the Allred group. So it's around 2008 in December, and suddenly all these outlets are starting to want to do things on polygamy. Now, I'm not sure if you remember, but like Lisa Ling did something on like Polygamy USA through the Oprah's production company. Oprah got really invested into Sister Wives and was really like on it. And the Sister Wives were interviewed by Oprah and by Rosie on the OWN network, and they were interviewed by, oh my gosh, so many different places. Now, there was also true crime people like that worked for Court TV and did more commentary on the legal aspects that were like completely blowing apart all of the propaganda that people were putting out and saw through what was happening. But the mainstream media was sort of like hanging on to this idea that like benign polygamists are just great people, okay? So back in 2008, producers are going into these polygamy websites, and there was a ton of them. So if you were to go to Web Archives and you look at Principal Voices, which no longer exists online, you can see that they had tons of links to different outlets. And then if you clicked on the links, you could go to all these different pages that were all pro-polygamy, or blogs by people that were polygamists or people that were supporting polygamy. And it was like massive amounts of propaganda, and they were setting up all these petitions to like try to shut down CPS and hold Texas accountable, blah, blah, blah. But in these same forums, people were leaving comments, and comments were made by TLC producers and Discovery producers saying, hey, I'm actually looking for a family. We're looking for someone for a reality series that's pro-polygamy that we could feature. We're looking for someone that is interested in being public, okay? So December 2008, there's a screenshot that I actually found on the Wayback Machine of a producer named Amber going onto these pro-polygamy websites looking and searching for families, okay? Tim Gibbons, who is with Puddle Monkey Productions, says that they eventually decide to contact Principal Voices, and they get in touch with Ann Wild. And Ann Wild, through their discussions with her, they have to meet all these agreements. Like, we're not going to talk negative about polygamy. It's going to be completely pro-polygamy. We're not going to show negative counterbalances. Like in a documentary, the responsible thing to do would be like showing like this is, you know, one side of the story, and then they would show you conversely like an expert or someone that survived from the system that says no, it's not like that, so that the audience can make a decision. But they were not interested in doing that. They wanted to do something that was like reality television, to be pro-polygamy, to show like a family that lives in the polygamous lifestyle. And what they were hoping to do was have everyone live in one house. So they wanted to see how a family functioned living under one house. So according to like insiders at the time, basically what was happening was Ann Wild was putting out all of these notices to people within the Principal Voices network to find out if any of the families that they were working with wanted to go public. And eventually, like, a bunch of families toss their names in a hat, and then they all sort of like look at all the different families, and there's like some sort of like decision made that the Browns are going to be the face of polygamy. And it could be that they were blonde and they looked, they had charming good looks and that they had charisma. I mean, there was a lot of reasons they probably got picked. And so it wasn't something where like the Browns were, yes, they wanted to be famous, but Principal Voices needed a face for polygamy, and the Browns got selected. So they start working with the production company, and that's where you find yourself today. So from the very beginning, from where this started, the goal of this group was they had it all in play. Like, we're going to try to decriminalize this. We're going to get a family on TV, and then through this family, we're going to try to normalize it. We're not going to talk about the faith. We're going to be really vanilla. We're not going to show opposing views. We're going to show you guys how great polygamy is, and then we're going to work to decriminalize it. We're not going to legalize it, because legalizing it would be, taxes, and dads would have to pay child support and alimony and all of that. We just want to decriminalize it so people can actually come forward and report stuff and not be held accountable like the women. Anyways, so once Sister Wives goes on to the air, and once, the Browns are selected to do this, Kody and the wives are thrown into the limelight. And because Christine had been the most prominent person that was speaking out for Principal Voices, going to all these different rallies and on the Safety Net Commission, her sort of like character was like Kody was a very instrumental part of the family, because she was really one of the primary reasons they picked the family. So, but the goal was to like center it around Kody and the wives, okay? Then once this all goes down, the church is not thrilled with this, right? So the church gets really upset with them, and they're like, oh, we don't want to deal with this. Like, Dave Watson and the AUB, they start speaking out, and they are disagreeing fundamentally with the way that Principal Voices had decided at this time that they were going to try to latch on to the gay marriage agenda that was going through legislation. And so anytime a gay marriage law would pass in one of the states, Principal Voices would put something out and saying, like, you're discriminating against polygamists because you're letting gay people get married, but not us. So Dave Watson and the AUB were fundamentally against this idea that they could partner with the LGBTQ+, and they were firmly against the Browns doing this. This was a very hotly contested sticking point, and something that the AUB did not want to be associated with. So the AUB did not want to be connected in or affiliated in any way of them like saying that they supported gay marriage, because they didn't. And they didn't agree with Kody doing that, nor the wives doing that on the show. So there was like many times that the Browns are doing things that the church did not agree with. And so it comes to a situation where the Browns eventually just don't ever say the name of the church they're involved in. They don't really talk about what their faith is. They just sort of explain that they are fundamentalist Mormons, and they never discuss like the depths of their church. They always say everything is very sacred to them and special. So everything is very sanitized, okay? So they're not going to talk about the church. The church doesn't agree with them. And in the meantime, they're going out on all these interviews, and America is just like eating this up, because they're like, oh my God, normal looking people. They're so beautiful. I can't believe that polygamists can look this normal, and they're not wearing prairie dresses, and they don't have the bump it hair, and they don't have the long braids down their back, and the guys are wearing normal clothes and the women are wearing pants, right? Well, Oprah sits down with them in 2010, and this is like the show premieres in September, right, of 2010, and then like by October of that same year, the Sister Wives are over on Oprah, okay? Oprah is even like eating this up, like, oh, I think Sister Wives are great. Everyone is so interested in like what Sister Wives do, and they talked to her about the family. They talked about adding the wives, adding Robyn. And so when Robyn was introduced onto this, the old transcript of Oprah's show says this. In 2010, these Sister Wives welcomed 30-year-old Robyn and her 3 children into the family, but not without some mixed emotions. Robyn was in a monogamous marriage for 8 years before she divorced and decided she wanted to be part of a polygamous family. When Kody and Mary met Robyn at a party, the two women hit it off. After that day, Robyn and Kody began talking and developed feelings for each other. Every other weekend for 4 months, Kody drove 8-hour round trip to spend time with Robyn. There were a couple times where I'm like, you really can't go, Christine says. You can't leave me. You can't leave your family. You are here. You are replacing your family with Robyn and her kids. When Kody was courting Robyn, the sister wives definitely shared their opinions about her. If they didn't, it wouldn't make it tough. It would make it hell. They've got to love this individual as well. So he eventually proposed and she accepted. The wives approved of the proposal, but the addition of the fourth wife sparked jealousy issues for some. I'm not gonna lie, there's jealousy issues, Mary says. Those are natural. Hopefully that's something that I can overcome. So isn't it funny how Mary's the one that picks her, but then she admits she's jealous? So they say Kody and Robyn's engagement upset Christine because she says they broke a fundamentalist Mormon rule. I found out that Kody sealed the engagement with a kiss and I freaked. We don't kiss over the altar. So to me, the fact that he had kissed Robyn was devastating. Now, part of that is on the show, okay? So just weeks before Robyn's wedding to Kody, Mary and Kody celebrated their 20-year marriage anniversary. And during the anniversary, Mary confronted Kody about her jealousy. And she asked him if she were giving attention to another man. And Kody famously told her that it's not something I'm comfortable with imagining. The vulgarity of the idea of you with two husbands or another lover sickens me. It's wrong. It seems wrong to God and nature. I understand this seems to be somewhat hypocritical and I don't know how to get around it. So jealousy issues weren't just because of Robyn, but Mary said it was because she has these feelings with each of the wives. So she says she goes through this every single time one of the new wives is added. Basically, Christine was also jealous when Robyn joined the group. And she said, I realize that those feelings are there and I work through that and I get over the jealousy. I get over my feelings of selfishness or insecurity or whatever, which ultimately we learn now that Christine didn't get over that and she left the family, which by the way is a great. But Robyn said that plural marriage helps you work through the issues and to learn to think of other people before yourself, and it rubs off your rough spots. But it says Robyn says she feels like she's a homewrecker, and she even considered not being a part of the Brown family. They had a really wonderful thing, and I've stirred it up, and I'm so sorry. I know I'm making you struggle, and I'm so sorry. I hate this. So Robyn admitted when she first joined the family, she almost considered not joining them because of how upset everyone was with her. And then she said that she felt like a homewrecker. And 5 months into marriage, they're still dealing with the emotions of having her added. So very early on, Robyn's already feeling like a homewrecker. She's thinking that she's blown up the family and all the other wives are jealous. Nothing changes here, by the way. They never get into a sweet spot. They never find a sweet spot with Robyn. And Robyn ultimately, the addition of Robyn ultimately is the catalyst. I wouldn't say she's the reason, but the catalyst for how the family ends up blowing up because Kody then finds a favorite wife. But Kody finding a favorite wife has nothing to do with Robyn and everything to do with like whoever was kissing his butt, who happens to be Robyn, was kissing his butt, right? So over the 10, 13 years that the show's been on the air, what the show has actually proven to us is that there are favorite wives, there is jealousy, that these systems are not equitable, that some kids don't get treated the same way, that wives don't get treated the same way, that the men can be narcissistic jerks, that as the children have said, there was neglect, there was poverty, they were hungry, some of them have alleged that they were abused. There's been fighting between the sister wives. There has been physical altercations allegedly between the sister wives and the kids. There's been physical altercations allegedly between the sister wives. Kody has allegedly been physical with the children, and they had all, except Robyn, declared bankruptcy. Almost all of them were using public assistance. Janelle, before she was on the show, was actually working for the Department of whatever social services, and she was working with the food stamps and programs to help families qualify. So that was what her job was, apparently. I didn't even know that. I found that in an old blog. They're all using services. They're all doing these things. But on the show, they're like, no, we don't we don't abuse welfare. No, we're not publicly doing bankruptcy. We don't abuse the kids. No, the wives all get along. We're all friends. We've now learned that throughout the totality of their marriages, most of the wives didn't even get along. Sometimes they tolerated each other. And that in the last couple seasons, we've seen Janelle and Christine appear to have friendships on the show. But again, you have no idea, because in the real world, we don't know, because they're filming a show and we don't know, like, contractually, yes, they're coming together to do things. If they didn't have contracts, would they still be doing stuff together? I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to say. But the family now has completely segregated, and you've got Kody and Robyn off in La La Land, and the other three wives have now apparently left. And Mary's on a vacation and she's looking for men, and Janelle's setting up an RV for the summer, and Christine's already got a new man, moving into a new house and getting married. So in the span of 13 years, Principal Voices tried to put on a show to prove to the world that polygamy wasn't what we thought it was, when eventually it did prove to us it's exactly what we thought it was, and that polygamy isn't a functional way of living, and that there is jealousy and there is favorites and there is so many issues with these families, that it proved to America that it's not a healthy way to live. It proved to America that the fundamentalists were not who they said they were when they came onto the show. And it proved that, and it gave the women an out. So as much criticism I have for the show and how it really has snowballed people and it's put the wool over people's eyes, I think the family falling apart was the best thing, because now the women, if this is true, and it's hard to believe sometimes, Christine has to be gone because she's living with another guy and getting married. But the other two, I'm always still questioning. I'm still iffy on. But anyways, the good news is that the show provided an out for the kids, so they didn't have to grow up in a cult, and they were able to move and get away from the cult. The wives were able to break free and get into the real world and get away from the cult. So, well, at least Christine is. I still don't know where Mary and Janelle sit with the cult. And then you have Robyn and Kody that seem to be loyal, at least to the cult of themselves, and have their children very sheltered and controlled. So Kody and Robyn sort of maintain that level of fundamentalism, and they've retreated offline. They don't interact unless you pay them, unless you paid Kody $150 for a cameo. And Robyn just pins stuff to Pinterest on her board, and that's it. Like, the rest of them are like, we're doing this and we're doing that. And then fans that watch the show that still believe everything that's on social media are left sort of like, is this real? Is this fake? You've got a pocket of my followers that watch this content every day that believe everything that they say and say that this is true. And then I've got another subsection of people that are like, oh, they're a bunch of liars and scammers and con artists. And then there's another section of people that are kind of in the middle, like, maybe some of it's true, maybe some of it's false. I tend to believe that Kody is just a malignant narcissist and almost everything that he says is false. I also believe that Robyn does believe she's a homewrecker, and I think she still to this day knows that she wrecked the family. It's not fair, though, for her to say that she's a homewrecker, because you can't wreck a home unless the man wanted it to be wrecked. It takes two to wreck. And in polygamy, with women not having any equity or power, they're going to jockey for position to try to become favorite wife. So really what you guys saw Robyn do is a playbook in the textbook of how women jockey to get to top wife, favorite wife, and alienate everyone from the husband. This happens in families all the time. That's polygamy. So Robyn, through Kody, the two of them wrecked the family, but really it's a good thing, because polygamy for all of them isn't healthy, in my opinion. So that's the story. That's the backstory. I know I didn't even take a breath this entire video. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this, and if you understand better how this all was put together. And are you shocked to hear that Robyn, even back in 2010, knew that she was a homewrecker? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Bye, guys.